When a relationship ends, it almost never happens in one moment. Most men believe there's a single fight, a sudden breakup, a moment they can point to and say, "That's when it ended." But the truth is, it ends long before the final goodbye. It ends quietly, in the words she starts to say. Little phrases, small changes, subtle warnings. And most men, they miss them. They don't recognize the signs until it's too late, until her heart has already left, long before her body ever does. Women rarely just walk away without giving signals. They speak their emotional disconnection long before they take action. If you can recognize these early warning signs, you have the chance to save your dignity, preserve your self-respect, and walk away with your head held high, before you're left wondering what happened. In today's video, I'll break down the exact phrases women say when it's already over, even if they're still standing right in front of you. Learn these signs, and you'll never again find yourself blindsided. Let's dive in, starting with the first phrase you must never ignore. Phrase 1. I just need some space. When a woman says, "I just need some space," most men panic. They think giving her more attention will fix it. They think chasing harder will pull her back. But in reality, those 4 words are often the beginning of the end. Understand this. Space isn't about physical distance. It's about emotional disconnection. When a woman asks for space, what she's really saying is, "I don't feel the same way anymore, but I'm not ready to confront it fully." It's a soft breakup in slow motion. The mistake most men make is trying to close the gap, calling more, texting more, showing up unexpectedly, when the only real move is to match her distance calmly. When she pulls back, you pull back. Not as a game, not to punish her, but to respect yourself. Because a woman who truly values you doesn't ask for distance. She pulls you closer. If she needs space, let her have it, fully. No chasing, no convincing, no emotional speeches. You focus on your mission. You stay grounded in your purpose. Because the man who stands strong when she pulls away is the man she secretly wishes she hadn't tested. Chase her, and you confirm her doubts. Stay composed, and you give her the only thing that might spark respect again: your absence. Never forget, space requested is often love rejected. Recognize it early, and you can walk away with your power intact. Now, let's move to the next phrase, one even more dangerous because it sounds selfless at first. Phrase 2. You deserve better than me. It sounds noble. It sounds selfless. But when a woman says, "You deserve better than me," it's not a compliment. It's a confession. She's telling you that her emotional investment is fading, without taking full responsibility for ending it. Instead of admitting, "I'm no longer in this," she frames it as your fault. You're too good for her. And most men? They hear this and try to fight for her. They rush to reassure her. They say things like, "No, you're perfect. I want you. I'll do anything." Without realizing that the moment you start convincing her, you've already lost the frame. Understand something crucial. Attraction doesn't need convincing. When a woman is truly into you, she clings tighter, not looser. She doesn't tell you you're too good. She feels lucky to have you. The right move when you hear this phrase? Accept it and walk away with your dignity. No arguments, no desperate promises. A simple nod, a quiet smile, and a silent exit speaks volumes. Because the man who doesn't beg when a woman drifts away is the man she secretly respects long after he's gone. Remember, you don't have to fight to stay where you're no longer wanted. Respect yourself enough to believe her when she says you deserve better, because you do. Phrase 3. I'm not ready for a relationship. When a woman says, "I'm not ready for a relationship," Most men hear a challenge. They think if they just work harder, prove themselves more, they can change her mind. But here's the hard truth. When a woman truly wants you, she's ready. Readiness isn't about timing, it's about feeling. She may have a busy life. She may have fears. She may have doubts. But if she feels deep attraction, admiration, and emotional safety with you, she'll find a way. "I'm not ready" is rarely about external circumstances. It's often a polite shield covering a lack of genuine desire. The trap most men fall into is trying to prove they're worth waiting for. They stay patient. They stay available. They stay stuck, waiting for a woman who's already halfway out emotionally. Understand this. A high-value man doesn't audition. He doesn't wait in the lobby hoping for approval. He moves with strength. And if she's not ready to join, he keeps moving forward without resentment. So when you hear, "I'm not ready for a relationship," don't argue, don't negotiate, don't wait. Simply nod, wish her well, and walk. Not out of anger, but out of respect for your own time, energy, and future. You are not a placeholder. Recognize it. Respect it. Move forward. Now, let's move to the next phrase, one that sounds like hope, but often hides resignation. If this is hitting you hard already, make sure to smash the like button. It helps push this message to more men who need to hear it, and keeps you sharp for the next phrases we're about to uncover. Stay locked in. Phrase 4. Maybe we should take a break. When she says, "Maybe we should take a break," it sounds like a temporary pause, a chance to figure things out. But in reality, it's rarely a pause. It's the beginning of an exit. Understand something very clearly. People don't take breaks from what they value. If you were truly the man she admired, desired, and respected, she wouldn't want distance. She'd want connection. She'd want to work through problems together, not separately. A break is often a soft way of creating emotional and physical space to explore life without you, without the guilt of a clean breakup. Most men, desperate to hold on, agree to the break. They wait by the phone. They put their life on pause. They hope she figures it out. But during that break, she's not sitting alone reflecting. She's living. She's meeting new people. She's seeing how life feels without you in it. The right move when you hear, "Maybe we should take a break," make it permanent. Calmly and firmly say, "I don't do breaks. I want something real. If that's not where you are, I wish you the best." No anger, no negotiation, just strength. Because a man who values himself doesn't press pause on his life for someone uncertain about his worth. Always remember, when someone asks for space, they're handing you their decision. Respect it and move forward with dignity. Now, let's move to the 5th phrase, one that sounds harmless, but cuts deeper than most men realize. Phrase 5. I don't know what I want anymore. It's not an invitation for you to fix it. It's a confession, a soft admission that her feelings have changed, but she doesn't have the courage to say it directly. Most men hear this and step into rescue mode. They offer more support. They become more patient. They try harder to make her sure, but certainty cannot be forced. Attraction is not a debate you can win. When a woman says she doesn't know what she wants, the truth is usually simple. She doesn't want you. At least not enough. Not enough to fight for it. Not enough to stay connected. Not enough to commit. The worst thing you can do in this moment is offer more of yourself, trying to fill a void you didn't create. The right move is brutal but necessary. Accept her confusion as your clarity. A woman unsure about you is already halfway gone, and a man grounded in his worth does not stand still for someone undecided about him. When you hear, "I don't know what I want anymore," you calmly take a step back. permanently. No arguing, no pleading, no chasing, just a silent understanding that the connection has already cracked. Remember, your time, energy, and presence are gifts, not bargaining chips. Protect them. Now, let's move into the sixth phrase, one that sounds flattering, but is actually a hidden warning. Phrase 6. You're too good for me. It sounds like a compliment. But when a woman tells you, you're too good for me, it's not admiration. It's distance. She's signaling that the emotional connection has fractured, but she frames it in a way that makes you the problem. Most men hear this and feel flattered. They think it means they're winning. But in reality, it means one thing. She no longer feels aligned with you emotionally. Women don't leave men they deeply respect and desire. When they're fully in, they want to rise with you, match your energy, be part of your mission. They don't feel unworthy. They feel inspired to stay close. You're too good for me often masks guilt. She feels the disconnect growing inside her, but doesn't want to confront it directly. So instead of saying, I'm no longer as invested, she says, you're just too good. Here's the danger. If you try to lower yourself to make her feel more comfortable, you lose the very essence of why you were valuable in the first place. Never shrink to fit someone else's comfort zone. Never dilute your ambition, your strength, your standards, just to make someone less uncomfortable around your greatness. When you hear, you're too good for me, smile with respect and move forward. You don't chase validation from someone questioning their own worth. You stay focused on your path, knowing the right woman will never feel the need to escape your strength. She'll feel blessed to stand beside it. Always remember, your greatness isn't the problem. It's just too much for the wrong person, and that's not your burden to carry. Now let's move to the final phrase, the clearest, most undeniable signal that the connection is over. Phrase 7, let's just be friends. Out of all the phrases, let's just be friends is the clearest signal, and yet it still traps so many men. It sounds gentle. It sounds like there's still hope. But there's no hidden meaning behind it. When a woman says, let's just be friends, she's not inviting you to stick around and slowly win her back. She's closing the chapter, politely. Most men make the fatal mistake of accepting this friendship, hoping it will somehow lead back to attraction. They stay close. They stay available. They keep texting, listening, supporting. But in her mind, they've already been moved into a new category, the safe, non-threatening, non-sexual friend. And once you're there, you don't climb back into attraction. Understand this. Women don't friend zone men they are romantically drawn to. They don't want friendship with a man they deeply desire. They want intimacy, closeness, emotional connection. So when you hear, let's just be friends, the correct response is crystal clear. I value what we had, but I'm not interested in just friendship. I wish you the best. Calm, final, no resentment. Because a man who values himself doesn't cling to half measures. He doesn't accept emotional scraps hoping for a full meal. He honors the experience, respects her choice, and walks away with his dignity intact. Always remember, if she offers you friendship instead of love, she's already moved on, and so should you. Most men think heartbreak happens in a single moment, a loud fight, a sudden goodbye, a door slamming shut. But the truth is, it rarely works that way. Real endings happen in silence, in subtle phrases, in small emotional withdrawals, in words that sound harmless, until you realize what they truly meant. And if you don't know how to recognize them, you lose more than just the relationship. You lose your frame. You lose your respect. You lose yourself chasing something that's already gone. But now, you're not that man anymore. You're not the guy who begs for clarity from someone who's already made her decision. You're not the one sitting in confusion, wondering what went wrong. Because now you understand. When a woman says, "I need space," "You deserve better," or "Let's just be friends," she's already emotionally checked out, long before she physically walks away. The Stoic man doesn't argue with reality. He doesn't cling to illusions. He stands tall in the face of loss and walks away with dignity. Because strength isn't about holding on at all costs. It's about letting go when respect is no longer being served. And that's what makes you different. You don't operate from desperation. You operate from self-respect. You don't chase closure. You become the closure. So here's your reminder, burned into your mindset from this moment forward. If she says any of these phrases, it's already over. And that's not something to fear. It's something to accept, with clarity, calm, and power. Because when you walk away with your head held high, when you protect your masculine frame instead of proving your worth, you don't just avoid heartbreak. You evolve. You become the man who cannot be shaken by someone else's confusion. The man who doesn't need validation to know his value. The man who attracts respect, not by chasing, but by choosing himself. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay stoic. And if this message struck a nerve, let it be the last time you ignore the signs. Because next time, you won't break down. You'll rise up, stronger, sharper, uncommon.